Mr. Maresca, just, you could, if you'd like to go find Brian, he's probably downstairs. If you want to just, you're welcome to leave your stuff here. I'll keep an eye on it in this busy place. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start recording, Scott.
Recording in progress.
And Peter?
All set.
Thumbs up from Peter.
Will the meeting of Planning and Zoning Commission for Wednesday, June 1st, 2022, please come to order. This evening's meeting will be a hybrid planning and zoning meeting hosted in person at the Nathaniel B. Green Community Center, 32 Church Street, Guilford, Connecticut, Monongahela, second floor, as well as virtually by Zoom. During this meeting, our procedures will be as follows. 1. When you first enter the Zoom meeting, you will be in a virtual waiting room until the meeting host admits you. 2. Please be aware that your camera, if you have one, and your microphone will be muted by the meeting host when you enter the meeting. You can turn on your camera at any time so that you can be seen by others when and if you choose to. In order to run an efficient and orderly meeting in this virtual environment, unless stated otherwise by the meeting chairman during the meeting host will keep everyone other than the commission members muted. You will still be able to hear everything said by the commission members, even if you're muted and or your camera is not on. There will be opportunity for public comment during public hearings, at which time public participants will be unmuted. 3. The Secretary will read the call of the meeting as published according to Governor Lamont's executive order. 4. During the public hearing, the applicant will be invited to present the application, explain to the Commission and others present what is being requested. The meeting host will share all related documents on the screen as needed. In addition, all applications and supporting materials for each application on the agenda are available through the public meeting calendar page of the town website, www.guilford.ct.us, and also through a direct link on the Planning and Zoning page. 5. Comments of town agencies will be read for each application if there are any. There will be clarifying questions from the commissioners. 6. There will then be an opportunity for clarifying questions from the audience. Please raise your hand through the Zoom platform and wait to be called on and unmuted. As this public hearing must be recorded, it is necessary for speakers to identify themselves each time they speak or by stating their name and address. 7. After all clarifying questions are exhausted, those who wish to speak in support of the application will be asked to come forward, state their name and address for the record, and make a statement. Then those who wish to speak in opposition to the application will be asked to come forward to make a statement. 8. The applicant will then have an opportunity to address any questions or concerns raised by the public or commissioners. And 9. Once the public hearing is closed, the applicant is free to leave or remain for the balance of the public hearings and the regular meeting, during which the commission will try to reach a decision on each application. Each applicant will be notified in writing as to the decision of this commission and has a right to appeal to the Superior Court if desired. 10. Decisions of this meeting are available the day after the meeting by calling the Planning and Zoning Department at 203-453-8039 or by emailing planning.zoning@ci.guilford.ct.us after 9 a.m. 11. All actions taken tonight by the Commission will be by roll call. All commissioners and staff will identify themselves for the record before speaking. Seated this evening are the following members who will please identify themselves. Here, Bill Freeman.
Here.
Were we able to get Ted Sands on? Ted Sands? I think
He's muted, but he's there.
Phil Johnson.
Hi.
Sean Cosgrove.
Here.
Frank DeAndrea.
Present.
And I'm Scott Edmond. Do we have Jason? Larry Rizzola.
Here.
And Larry, with Kevin not being here tonight, you'll be seated for this meeting. Staff present are Jamie Stein, Town Planner.
Good evening.
Lisa Piambino, Planning and Zoning Administrative Assistant.
Oh, we only have half of her.
Less than half.
There she is. Now 2/3. Okay, okay.
And Peter Schultz, videographer. This meeting will be recorded via the Zoom platform and made available on the town website for viewing. The Secretary will now read the legal notice.
Okay, legal notice, Guilford Planning. Notice is hereby given that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a in-person/hybrid public hearing on June 1st, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. at the Nathaniel web.zoom.us/j/84493240601. To be heard this evening, Anthony and Daniela Pagoda, 160 Wilbur's Lane, map 108, lot 5, zone R8, special permit for accessory apartment. Brian Maresca, 281 Church Street, map 53, lot 13, zone R1, special permit for 864-foot detached garage. Linda Toscano, 69 Wilson Street, map 40, lot 47, zone R3, special permit for day permit for adults and with disabilities. Copies of these applications are available for inspection in the zoning office and on the town's website, www.ci.guilford.ct.us. At this hearing, persons may attend by either phone or web connection and shall be heard. All written correspondence shall be submitted to planning.zoning@ci.guilford.ct.us. Documents are available at the Planning and Zoning Office, dial 203-453-8039 for assistance. Dated at Guilford, Connecticut, this 10th day of May, 2022. It says Phil Johnson, Chairman. I think that should be amended to.
We're gonna have to work on that.
Bill, did you break in and change that?
Thank you, Mr.
I'd like to
Castro.
make a motion to open the public hearings.
It's an insurrection. It's obvious.
It's
Do I hear a
not,
second?
there's a coup, afoot.
So
I'd
here's a
still
second.
like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Record show none opposed. First item on the agenda is Anthony and Danielle Papagoda, 160 Wilbur's Lane, map 108, lot 5, zone R8, special permit for accessory apartment. They've requested that that be continued until our June 15th meeting. Do I hear a motion to do so?
I would like the motion to continue. Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Abstain? The motion carries. Next item on the agenda is Brian Reska, 281 Church Street, maps 53, lot 13, zone R1, site plan and special permit for an 864 square foot detached garage. Jamie, was he able to jump on, or is he going to be? Oh, looks like we got him.
Yep, he is both here and virtual, so you're going to hear some feedback.
Wow.
Sorry about that.
Double down.
Mr. Reska, let's see.
Brian, you might unmute yourself.
Yep.
There you go.
Okay. So go ahead and introduce your application, sir.
Sure, so this is just for detached garage.
Within the lot coverage parameters. I guess there was some scrutiny because I was in the, over a certain square footage, so just trying to go through the proper channels here.
A special permit. Let's see, do we want to put up the plan? Jamie?
I can do that, Mr. Maresco. Just let me-
So Brian, for the heck of it, if you're gonna go over 750 and go for square footage, do you wanna go any bigger?
I was trying to stay within the 15% lot coverage.
Okay, so I'm just curious about that.
I appreciate that.
No. If you can go big, go big or go home. Right.
Frankie, is this a one-story or two-story garage?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a single-story garage.
It's a map
to match the aesthetic of the house. It's a white standing seam.
with kind of a stone facade on the bottom portion from a chair rail down. But you can see it kind of pictured in the top portion. And it says proposed garage there on the screen share. And then it's, within the compliance for minimum setback on the short side and then the combined setback on the other side. Combined with 24 feet, just over that. So if you are getting off, let's say if you're driving down 77, just as you pass under the highway, it's the second driveway on the left.
So it's technically the village district.
Correct. Before Adams, closer to Durham. Yes, I've had a steel plate over my apron for the last few weeks. Yeah, no problem. I'm looking forward to planting some grass.
Staff to read it.
No, we do not. Just a clarification, so 281.
Jamie, you're muted and you're hard to hear.
Yeah, Shannon
I'm sorry,
reads. It's
there's a
gonna be-
lot of feedback going on here. Apologies. We have
Thank you,
no
Brian.
town staff memos regarding the application. And just a point of clarification, I'm not sure if Mr. Maresca answered this because I couldn't quite hear, but this is a special permit application due to the exceedance of 750 square feet and also a site plan because it is within the Church Street overlay district.
But no, there's nothing from town staff. All right, do we have any?
And there's Mr. Maresca, there's no plumbing, there's no water, they're probably electric, I hope.
So I submit.
For the B100, initially it was proposed, and then, I had kind of thought, while I'm pouring the slab, it would be advantageous to stub some pipe if I wanted to do a slop sink or a half bath off the back portion of it. So, not that I have any real intention of moving forward with that initially, but I had submitted a drawing to the sanitarian. I was waiting to hear back from them regarding that. I put a new septic system in when I first moved in 2015, so it's oversized, so it should be totally with compliance with regards to that. I didn't really plan to disrupt the whole lawn. My goal was to plumb it, have an inspection if necessary, and then run it inside the house to an existing sewer ejector in the basement. But it wasn't going to be anything other than a slop sink and possibly a half bath.
Do you have a koi pond?
I do.
I do.
Off the sharing so we can see all the commissioners. Any other questions from commissioners on this item? Okay, good. Two questions from the audience. Again, if you have a question, you can unmute yourself. Looks like someone just did so. Is there a question?
And I see a hand somewhere.
There's a hand on KJSHE.
Yeah, and then they've muted themselves again.
So if you could, KJSHE, if you could unmute, there you go.
Hello?
Oh,
Hello?
hello.
Hello.
State your name for the
Ken
record and
Shepherd.
address.
Ken Shepherd, 280 Church Street. I've I'm very familiar with the properties diagonal across the street from me. It belonged to my aunt and uncle. They built the house. My parents built 280, which is just across the street. It's a white ranch. Um, I've spoken to a number of the neighbors and other neighbors on Joe Kavanaugh. Everybody's in favor of it in the neighborhood. They think the couple that are living there are wonderful neighbors. They take care of their property, and they're a great asset to the neighborhood. And we all would love to see this happen for them.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you so much for speaking up. That's like, seriously, that really helps us as a commission.
If I could just tell you the kind of people they are, and I'm 75 years old. I was here before the highway and the condos and the senior housing law. But when the COVID came out, Brian and his wife sent me a nice note stating that if we needed any medications, food, they gave us their cell phone numbers, and said, call us 24/7 if there's anything we can do for you. And to me, those are the kind of people we want in Guilford. And I was just thrilled with the way they have integrated within our neighborhood. They're wonderful neighbors.
Great. Thank you very much for that.
Thanks, Ken. Likewise.
Okay, great. Do we have anybody else that wants to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone that would like to speak against this application? All right. So since this is kind of a two-parter,
I make a motion to waive the second public meeting on this.
thank you, Philip.
Anyone want to second that?
Second.
As anyone listening should be or can be made aware, we have the ability to vote, 3/4 vote to waive the second public hearing on a special permit if we feel that it merits it in this case. So let's go ahead and we'll do a roll call vote for the motion on the table. Bill Freeman.
Yes.
Ted Sands. Looked like that was positive.
You're muted, Ted.
You're muted,
Can you unmute?
Yes. Thank you, Ted. Philip Johnson.
Yes, please.
Sean Cosgrove.
Aye.
Frank DeAndrea.
Aye.
Larry Rizzola.
Aye.
And I will also vote yes. So we'll act on this tonight. Can I entertain a motion to close the public hearing on this item?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Thank you, Philip, for the second. Roll call again. Bill Freeman.
Yes.
Ted Sands.
Yes.
Philip Johnson.
Yes.
Sean Cosgrove.
Aye.
Frank DeAndrea.
Aye.
Larry Rizzolo.
Yes.
And I will also vote yes. Thank you very much, Brian. We'll act on this evening. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I'm optimistic.
Next item on the agenda, Linda Toscano, 69 Boston Street, map 40, lot 47, zone R3, special permit for a change to a nonprofit day program for adults with disabilities. I believe, Linda, you are on the call. If you want to unmute. Please state your name and address for the record, and then let us know what you'd like to do.
Linda Toscano, 110 Leatherman Road, and I'm looking for a special permit to make a day program for adults with disabilities to have a recreational site to go to during the day, and like a respite apartment for 1 bedroom on the second level.
I think it did.
I got it. Go ahead, continue, Linda, thanks.
Sorry. Yes, I mean, mean, do you have any questions, or do you want me to go more in detail?
Yeah, if we could.
Do we have plans on this apartment?
We could bring up a plan.
So I don't have like a plan for the actual apartment. I have a vision, but I didn't write the apartment. It was or is a 2-bedroom upstairs with retail down, so I was just going to do a 1-bedroom with a full bath, and the additional space on the second floor would be used as a sensory room or music room, but the whole building would be for that purpose, for the adults with disabilities.
What is the current use of this property?
Well, right now it's vacant. It was the old April Rose building. Yeah.
This
This is
minus the address. The address of this is what?
So it's 69 and 71 Boston Street. So 71 is a 3-bedroom residential home.
This is 71 here.
Nope. This is,
What is the cross street there?
I think that's,
This is what was in the application.
It's Graves. It's Graves.
Graves,
Avenue.
yes.
Graves Avenue. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so was this
Sorry,
the old
this is.
florist?
No. Well, people thought it was a florist because of all of her flowers, but it was a bridal shop. And before that, it was the cotton shop.
So this is the building we're discussing here.
Yes.
This is 71, which is a residential building, and then this is 69, which was to this point used for commercial use.
You got it.
Jamie, do you want to discuss the non-conforming versus nonprofit?
Sure, yes, I can do that. So this is a special permit application for a change in use to a adult day program, which is permitted via special permit in this zone. It's also a nonprofit. It will be, Ms. Toscano, if you can just clarify for me, but it will be staffed by and run by Sarah Tuxis.
Yes.
Right? So there are a few site planning elements to this application, but primarily what's in front of you is this change of use from April Rose and her boutique would have been referred to as a pre-existing non-conforming use, as commercial is not permitted in a residential zone, which this is. And we did get some questions about the change in use. Does that get rid of the quote-unquote grandfathered commercial operation? And we're treating this just as a change of use to an adult day program run by a nonprofit.
And there's no change in the structure. There's no change in the footprint of the building.
No. I believe Ms. Toscano will eventually end up putting in an ADA accessible ramp at the rear entrance. But other than that, and perhaps some exterior lighting, but we've discussed how, if the time comes that some exterior lighting should be needed, that it would be dark sky compliant, and we're happy to work with Linda as she pursues any building permits and whatnot.
So Jamie, are we reducing the non-conforming or getting rid of that piece?
We are eliminating the non-conforming piece. This would be not as of right, but permitted via special permit.
So
That's one of the goals.
Right.
Planning and
right. So I guess my question is, given the clientele that we're looking to serve, do we have sufficient parking to service that?
Linda, could you speak to of how much cars you believe you need?
Yeah. So if you could scroll down to where I included, first I just wrote in how many cars that you could fit in there. And then if you scroll down, you'll also see more parking from previous aerial shots that I got on the website from the town, which shows 5 cars. I think that's one right there. 5 cars easily. And there's additional parking to the left of that and then on the opposite side. But most, these individuals mostly will not be driving. They'll get dropped off by a caregiver, guardian, or a Sarah Tuxis worker or some sort of transportation. So it more would just be dropping off people and then the staff. So depending on how many individuals are being served at one time, and it would be most likely a few hours for each individual. It's not as if 10 or 15 individuals are going to be there all day. The staff would have to be either 1-to-1 or 1-to-4, depending on the needs of the individuals.
So, based on what you're saying, how many staff members do you think would be there on a regular basis?
I mean, it depends on how many.
In a maximum basis.
I would say maybe 3 or 4 max.
So you have 3 or 4 cars.
Max. I mean, it depends on how many. If there's one individual who needs 1-to-1, then that person would be for them. If there's individuals there who don't need, they have a 1-to-4 ratio of caregiving needs, then that one staff could, just be one staff there with a car. But I mean, I would assume 2 to 4 would be.
And I have a question. How are you establishing this? Is this going to be an incorporated business? Are you a nonprofit? Or are you a for-profit?
No. So right now I have it in trust. So I'm working with Sarah Toxis. I'm meeting with the Department of Developmental Services tomorrow at the facility to see how they're going to work with Sarah Toxis. So basically, Sarah will be running the program, and they are a nonprofit. So I would be contracting with them to run it out of the facility. If that makes sense.
So basically, they would be renting the facility from you?
They would provide me with a contract, like whether it's 10 years or 15 years to do this contract. So I wouldn't be generating any income from that. It would be DDS, or if somebody has state services, they would be paying Sarah their fee for whatever hours an individual needs. So that would go directly to Sarah, and then Sarah would pay me like a rent for the facility.
Like a rent or a rent?
Well, it's a contract with DDS that I don't have all the details for because we don't know how many people we can service there yet. So they would contract to secure the building for a certain amount of years because I'll be doing all the upfront renovations. So we need to make sure that that's all secure before I do that.
So, I'm not sure. Is anyone aware, and maybe Linda, you are there other facilities that have been retrofitted like this in Guilford that have, worked with Sarah to create this kind of facility?
Not in Guilford. There are homes. They work with individual homes for this service. There's one in Westbrook. It's called the Harbor, and that used to be like an antique store, retail on the Boston Post Road, and that's now a full Sarah facility that is doing this exact thing, but on a much larger scale. So it's basically taking that model and bringing it here on a smaller level. But no, currently there's no, not that I'm aware of any program or facility. There's not even an after-school program for people with, children with disabilities. So their parents, can't work if their child is home with, they have to be home with them. So
is this a child-based facility or an adult-based facility?
It would be adults. So it would be 18 and older. So in the public school system with special education, you could be in 21, 22 years. I think Guilford's 22, and there's a 1-year program at the end. So once they're transitioning out of high school, or even when they're in high school, like my son's going to be 18 and he'll still continue to go to high school for a few years, we can actually work with the teachers too to bring them into this and do vocational skills and create some sort of holistic environment for all children.
So not to pry, Linda, is your own personal circumstance what's motivating you to do this?
Yes. So my son is, he'll be 18 in August. I've already got guardianship for him. And so I purchased the building so that number 71, which is the 3-bedroom home, will be where he ends up living at some point when he's ready as an adult. And Sarah and the state would be, I'd be working with them to provide 24-hour care. So he would be there with maybe 2 other adults like him with similar disabilities that have funding through the state. And then Sarah would run the program 24-hour care. And so the April Rose building was kind of just came into play that would be a great place for them to go and have something to do during the day, and in an environment where they can walk around and have a quality of life, because most of them don't drive.
And that's your vision.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let me just be clear on this. You own the building, or you will own the building?
I own the building.
You own the building. And so what you're asking for is a change of use, and the people who will be implementing the change of use is Sarah, which is a not-for-profit. Is that correct?
Correct.
So what you're asking us to do is to approve the change of use of this property from a non-conforming use to a use that, under special permit, a not-for-profit, Sarah, which everybody in town is familiar with, would operate. Okay, I mean, I understand what you're doing, which I think is commendable. I don't have any other questions, but I'll let the other commissioners talk.
Larry, you had a question?
Could you please tell me a little more about the bedroom and how you envision it being used? And does there have to be staff on site when someone's occupied that?
Yeah, is this going to be a day facility or a 24/7?
No, so it's going to be a day program, but it will have the ability to have a respite, like apartment, when needed. So instead of doing a 2-bedroom, we really don't need that. We would do 1 bedroom with a place for the staff to, because they really wouldn't be sleeping, they'd be working. So in the event that somebody needed to go away for the night or couldn't take their adult child with disabilities with them, they can hire Sarah as it's a respite rate, and it's an overnight service that they would stay. And usually they will do this in a home, or they'll take them to a Sarah location where they have housing like this. So this is just all inclusive, that if these people who are involved in that, if the individuals who are getting services, and maybe other people, if they fill that requirement, that need, and they could stay there overnight with a caregiver. So it wouldn't be all the time. It would be whenever needed. It could be once a month. It could be twice a year. I just don't know.
And could it be multiple nights?
Could be. I mean, yeah, if you went away for a vacation and you hired Sarah to care for your child. I mean, we do it in the home, so it would just be a place where people couldn't do it in the home. And Sarah doesn't really go. If they work with you in the home, they'll do it. But normally, they would take them to a different place, and that may not be as, in my opinion. I would rather in my home or a place I know. So it would just be, like a efficiency kitchen, just nothing crazy, just basically everything, like a 1-bedroom apartment up there. And the reason why 1 also too is because I figure I can get more individuals being serviced if we only have a 1-bedroom up there as opposed to a 2-bedroom. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners? I'll open up to the public. Is there any questions from the public? If you'd like to unmute yourself if you have a question. Not seeing any. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak in favor of this application?
Excuse me.
Sure. Hello.
It's Jan Brissette here.
Yep. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yeah, my name is Jan. Excuse me, Brissette. I can show myself as well. I live at 95 Boston Street, a few doors down. So when you were describing, we keep talking about the building, but it sounds like you own both the buildings, because I noticed there's only one driveway, and it looks like it's to the dwelling east of the old April Rose building. So you own both?
Right, so it was sold as two dwellings
Separate
on one.
properties?
Yeah, two separate structures.
And so the one, the gray building, 71, I think it is, that is going to be your son's home. But it sounded like it might be a group home.
Yeah, it'll be a residential home. I mean, but and that's not going to happen anytime soon. What I'm trying to do is get the daycare program up and running, and then he's only 18. I don't plan on him leaving the house anytime soon. So it was just when the right property came around, that's what the intention was.
Yes. Okay, so that was one of my questions, was that driveway. It looks like it's owned by that other property. So
it does, and then it opens up to both properties, and then there's back entrances and a courtyard in between with side entrances to both buildings.
Right. Are you envisioning an outdoor area for the people who, are...
Sure. Well, I mean, so there is enough...
close to the green, but...
It's close to the green, but so my son likes to go on the swing, and he'll probably go on a swing until, for many years. So I'd like to do some sort of, sometime outdoor sensory swing thing that's not, like what you'd have in a normal backyard, nothing crazy. And then just like what they have now, they have benches, so there'll be maybe some, outdoor tables, but nothing, that's pretty much it.
So my original thought was, if it's Sarah buying this building, but it's not.
No.
Okay, because it's the other building that they have a few doors down is got
Right.
this big parking lot, a big ramp, it's
Yes.
all set up, for something like this, and this could easily be offices, and not have to do all that infrastructure stuff. But it sounds like you have enough parking already, and you'd just be building the ramp.
The ramp, yes.
The only question I have is the upstairs with respite. I have a friend who has several children of hers are disabled, and it sounds like respite facilities, and you would know more about this, personally and professionally, are in high demand. And so it sounds like you're not sure how often the upstairs apartment would be used, but it could be used, weekly. Potentially.
I mean, it could be. I just wouldn't know the level of need. Sarah is the one who, the foundation would be screening the applicants, if you want to call them, and see who, which would make a good fit. So, I mean, I know for me, I don't go away very often, so for me, it could be like once a year, but if there are 10 individuals, it could be once a month. I really don't know.
Would the staff, or is this all what Sarah's doing, would the staff be consistent?
So that's Sarah's thing, but yeah, normally the people that they have working at the harbor have been there for quite some time, and but that's kind of on them.
Okay. I think those are all my questions.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the public? Would anyone like to speak in favor of this application? And would anyone like to speak against this application? Okay. Commissioners, should we discuss how we feel about the special permit? Do we feel, I guess, Jamie, I should ask, do we have any letters from town staff on this application?
No, we do not.
Okay. How do we feel, commissioners, on this application about potentially waiving the second public hearing? Philip,
I would move that we waive the second public hearing.
do you hear a second?
Second. There is, second.
We'll do a roll call.
I gotta tell you,
Sure.
when we implemented the second public hearing thing, it was really to kind of take a pause and contemplate anything that might come out. And there aren't many in the 8 to 10 years that I've served that I've said we should maybe take a step back. And I'm, obviously if I'm in the minority, that's fine. But I kind of think maybe this one might be one of those that we should just wait. It wouldn't kill us to wait. It's not a straightforward accessory apartment stuff. This is a pretty, interesting one that I think we should ponder. But I'm willing to listen to other commissioners, and I respect all your opinions.
Sure. Phil, as a follow-up, do you have anything that comes to mind that you would be looking for in terms of additional information if we were to do this?
It's just more, what might come out of the woodwork after this has been presented. That's what I would say.
So Phil, I guess my question, and maybe it's in the back of your mind, this is going from a non-conforming use.
Right, and I totally, to a less to a conforming use.
Yes, to a conforming use. And so what could be the future use if, Linda, I think that, what you're trying to do is great, and you're motivated with the best intentions. We're just trying to figure out what the future of this property could be based on the fact that we are changing its.
Well, so, Jamie, you can maybe speak to this better, but this special permit is specifically for a nonprofit use. And so that would be the future. If somebody else wanted to use the space, it would have to be for a nonprofit use as well.
Yeah,
I disagree. I don't think that's clear. I asked Linda. Sarah's nonprofit, but Linda's nonprofit.
It's still the space is being a special permit.
It's the use of the space, not the
being
ownership.
issued to Linda, and the permit's the change is being issued to Linda, not to Sarah.
That's exactly right. And
But the change is being not to Linda, it's to the property, it's to the actual address, I believe. It goes with the property. So if she sold the whole property 5 years from now, and somebody else wanted to do anything, well, they gotta come back. Because it goes with the property, not the individual. Right?
a nonprofit use has, I'm not a lawyer.
I also want to just interject here, I'm sorry. There are two things at play here. One is it will be a nonprofit operating, but it's also an adult care facility. Those are two different uses in our use table. So I just want to be mindful of that. I understand what you're saying, but.
If these are permitted uses, correct? Property is sold in the future, those uses have to be maintained.
Well, yes, or an individual could apply for a special permit to do a change of use that was a permitted use.
I have a question. These aren't permitted uses, as you said up front, correct? Correct. So I don't understand why we would hold up for some unknown thing that, I think Sean always says, I forget how you always say it, but don't create a problem if there isn't one or something like that.
Speaking from historic precedent, we've had situations where stuff has crawled out of the woodwork after an application is presented. And I don't believe that's the case. And literally 95% of all these special permit applications with two have come forward. And Linda, I hope it's not a huge imposition to ask you to come to our next meeting, because if nothing else comes forward, I will fully support your entire application. But I'm a little sitting on the fence on that.
I'm in favor of not
Can
doing
I
that, but I certainly will go along.
Jamie?
Yes.
If we were to approve this change of use, and and for some reason that we could not anticipate at the moment, Linda and the Sarah organization could not come to an agreement, what would happen?
If you approve the change in use, and whatever the intended use falls through, if there is another proposed use, or if Ms. Toscana seeks a different partner, you would, or not even, I'm sorry, she could seek a different partner if the deal fell through, but if she wanted to sell and that individual wanted to change the use, again, they would have to go through a process, unless they wanted to buy it as a home, and then, and run it as a day facility.
So it could be changed from the special use that we are contemplating now to residential because it is a residential zone.
Right. But, I mean,
Would that require a special permit?
you're testing my zoning knowledge. I don't think if it's the under,
I don't think going to a lesser use would require that.
the underlying zone, which is residential, I don't think would require that. But if someone, I'm trying to think, if someone wanted to run a childcare facility or an educational institution or a different nonprofit, these are potential uses that are in the use table for, that could be allowed.
They would need to come back because part of what we're potentially approving is a adult day facility.
Right.
Correct.
I don't think that the regulations, that there's an oversight in the regulations. And I think that, as even Phil mentioned in suggesting that you have a second hearing, I think Linda's intentions can't be ignored here, and they will benefit more people than just her son. I think that is something to be considered.
Well, look, I mean, I made a motion that we waive the second hearing, and I believe I got a second on that motion. Let's vote.
Yeah, I did.
That would be up to the chairman to call the vote.
Sure. I understand that, but I'm.
No, so I think we're still in the process of having discussion.
Correct. So we're in deliberations still. So Larry, go ahead.
So, this whole thing is based on an agreement with Sarah, and would it be fair to say, as a condition, that the agreement has to be consummated? Right, we're not going to approve the change of use unless Linda has all her ducks in a row.
I'm not sure we can do that.
I don't think you can do that. Also,
you have to understand, I'm new on the commission.
That's okay.
Understood.
We'll give you a whole pass.
But also, again, the new use is more in conformance with our zoning regs, so there's not a reason really.
Yeah, so this was our initial goals from the beginning, was to try to create spots where there were less issues.
Yeah. Frank, do you have anything to discuss, or your second stance?
My second stance.
Okay.
Could I just ask one question? I'm not on the board, and I know the board is discussing. Am I able to ask one question before?
We're still part of the public hearing, so go ahead, Jen.
I'm not opposed to your ideas, but there are a lot of things that aren't decided yet and are unknown. And it does sound like it's for an adult day facility, but there's a component that could be residential, not where it would be a permanent resident, but the apartment upstairs. I don't know if Sarah would feel that they would be booking it all the time or not. So it would be as if, people were living there. So it's not just adult daycare, it's also this other combined, right? And I'm not opposed to that either, but it seems like it's both, not just one.
It's following the model that they have at the harbor in Westbrook. So they have the same thing in their second floor. They have offices up there, and then they have a bedroom suite for when the need arises for one of the individuals to not be able to be with their family, that they would be in a safe environment covered by Sarah at this house. So again, it's not, I can find out how many times they do this. It doesn't happen very often, but it's a nice option to have. And it's also, I think we're looking at it very, there are different layers to it. This apartment would be also used for activities of daily living skills, teaching them how to make a bed, toileting and cooking. And these are all the things that these adults need to learn as skills to be as independent as possible. So this facility will have that respite apartment will also serve that purpose. It's just a holistic place, again, on a smaller scale, that what they're already doing in Westbrook, which when that program started 5 years ago, it's been very well received by many people, especially the families of these individuals. So, it serves many purposes, not just the overnight. It would also be used as a teaching tool for adults, activities of daily living. And it's being done now, so it's not like I'm, breaking a mold. I'm just following it. And again, meeting with DDS at this site tomorrow to go over and see what, how they feel about it. And then Sarah's already brought it up to their board, and they're working on a contract, but we need to get approval before we can do anything else. I mean, I can't hold off, and then this holds off, then that holds off, and then it just gets delayed, and, and now keeping the buildings empty, because this is what I want to do with it, and what's the future of this property? I have it in trust for my daughter, and if Sarah didn't work out, my intention was, if I couldn't rent it out for retail like it is right now, like light retail, would be to turn it into a 2-bedroom home, and keep it there for me. If I moved out of state and I wanted to come visit my son, or my daughter could stay there. So it's pretty much just a place that ensures he gets to stay in Guilford in a safe environment until he is no longer with us.
Thanks, Linda. This looks like we've had plenty of deliberation. There's a motion on the table. We'll do a roll call vote. Again, this is to waive the second public hearing. Bill Freeman.
Yes.
Ted Sands.
Yes.
Philip Johnson.
No.
Sean Cosgrove.
Yes.
Frank DeAndrea.
Yes.
Larry Zolo.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Motion carries. Entertain a motion to close the public hearing on this item.
Second.
Bill Freeman.
Yes.
Ted Sands.
Yes.
Philip Johnson.
Yes.
Sean Cosgrove.
Yes.
Frank DeAndrea.
Yes.
Yes.
Larry Zolo.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. All right, we will act on this tonight. Thank you, Linda, for your time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Linda.
Thanks so much.
Thank you to the public for their input on this item. That is the end of our public items. So we'll move to, should we motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Regular meetings. So first item is Brian Mariska. Is there anyone that would like to propose a motion for this application? I think they got emailed out.
This is for the subdivision.
This is for Brian Mariska, 281 53 lot 13 zone R1 site plan and special permit for a 864 square foot detached garage.
You want me to read it, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please.
Okay, voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a site plan and special permit application for an 864 square foot detached garage located at 281 Church Street, map 53, lot 13, zone R1 with the Church Street Overlay District. As shown on, quote, location survey 281 Church Street, Guilford, Connecticut for Brian D. Maresca, end quote, prepared by Paul J. Stowell Land Surveying, one sheet dated February 5th, 2021. This application is approved with the following conditions: that the applicant shall file with the town clerk an original copy of the site plan and special permit approval to be provided by the Planning and Zoning Department, and shall furnish written evidence to the Planning and Zoning Department that the document has been so recorded prior to Planning and Zoning sign-off for the building permits. 2, pursuant to state statute, this site plan approval is valid for a period of 5 years following the date of the decision until June 1st, 2027. Upon petition of the applicant, the commission may, at its discretion, grant extensions totaling no more than an additional 5 years to complete all work connected to the original approval. This application is approved based upon a finding that it conforms with the zoning code, and this approval shall become effective 15 days after publication of the legal notice of decision.
Is there a second?
Second.
I will note for everyone that those 2 items that were just read off as stipulations are something you're going to start seeing regularly. Jamie's trying to tie up some loose ends and make sure that we have some protocols that are followed for every application. They're approved.
Well, good for you, Jamie.
Any discussion for this item? All right, discussion. I'll do roll call votes. Bill Freeman?
Yes.
Ted Sands?
Yes.
Philip Johnson?
Yes.
Chuck Cosgrove?
Aye.
Frank D'Andrea?
Aye.
Larry Zola?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Thank you, Brian. Enjoy Josh Garage. Second item, entertain a motion for 69 Boston Street, map 40, lot 47, zone R3, special permit for a change in non-use to a nonprofit day program for adults with disabilities.
Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a special permit to change a pre-existing non-conforming use to a permitted non-profit use involving a daycare program for adults with disabilities at 69 Boston Street, map 40, lot 47, zone R3. This application is approved with the following condition. 1, the applicant shall file with the town clerk an original copy of the special permit approval to be provided by the Planning and Zoning Department, and shall furnish written evidence to the Planning and Zoning Department that the document has been so recorded prior to Planning and Zoning sign-off for building permits. This application is approved based on a finding that it conforms with the zoning code, and this approval shall become effective 15 days after publication of the legal notice of the decision.
Second. Ted Sands, thank you. Discussion.
You know, Phil's comments are well taken, but I'm not sure what's going to come forward after this. And I think it's not only well-meaning, it is, you know, it's a good place for some people to be. And if she's got the support, you know, of Sarah, she's done her homework.
Yeah. I don't want to be a roadblock on it, and I'm going to vote for it. My only point was, you know, the whole point of having two meetings for a special permit was if there were concerns on anybody's part. And I think there are some questions that what approvals are still there and what could still go on. I'm still going to vote for it. But I just wanted to be on the record that this is kind of one of the only ones that I can remember being a little iffy on, you know, we don't have a lot of the specifics of the end use. And, you know, what's going to come out.
We went through this at the last meeting with Trolley Road. I mean, it was like, was the cart before the horse?
Right. It sounds like there's, at least from the testimony from Linda, it sounded like she can't really move forward too far without, this approval.
Right.
So that makes it a difficult situation. Like if we were to come back a second time, what would change? I mean,
I understand. I'm sorry.
and I really appreciate it. appreciate your cautiousness. I think that's helpful for us to discuss and make sure we're, what we're comfortable with, so.
Yeah, it made me think about it a bit.
Yeah.
I definitely thought about it, Phil, and I think going for non-conforming to another non-conforming, even if it was less non-conforming, there still would be something, but I think at the end of the day, this is gonna be better regardless of what happens, because it's gonna be an approved use, and we're getting rid of that non-conformity, but I got exactly what you were saying.
So, as I said, I'm gonna vote for it. I just, it's one of those, maybe a few years down the road we go, but maybe we don't, and I hope we don't. So, here we go.
Thanks. We'll do a roll call vote. Bill Friedman,
Yes.
Ted Sands,
Yes.
Philip Johnson,
Yes.
Sean Cosgrove,
Aye.
Frank DeAndrea,
Yes, sir.
Larry Rizzolo,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Sign. Next item on our agenda is Hubbard Road LLC. Jamie, should we do the re-subdivision first or the site plan first? Is there a protocol on that?
Whichever you'd like.
Okay, well, the first one on the item of the agenda is the re-subdivision. Would anyone want to entertain a motion for Hubbard Road LLC re-subdivision?
Would you like me to read it?
Yes, please.
Proposed motion, Hubbard Road LLC re-subdivision, voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approved re-subdivision application for Hubbard Road LLC, Hubbard Road, map 79, lot 48, zone I2, for the creation of two lots as shown on Memorial Estates, Connecticut General Statutes 830G, affordable housing, or affordable project, land of Lot 2, Connecticut Affordable Housing Initiative, LLC, portion of Hubbard, if Hubbard Road, like the of Hubbard Road. Parcel B, Guilford, Connecticut, prepared by LRC Group, 18 sheets dated October 6, 2021, revised 11/16/2021, and 2/11/2022, and 4/7/2022. This application is approved with the following conditions. All work pursuant of CGS 826C shall be completed within 5 years from the date of decision. The record subdivision map shall state the date at which such 5-year period expires. Upon petition, the applicant, the commission may, by the applicant, may, at its discretion, grant extensions totaling no more than an additional 5 years to complete the work connected with the original approval. Number 2, the applicant shall record on the town land records the final record re-subdivision map, shall furnish written evidence to the Planning and Zoning Department that the document has been recorded prior to Planning and Zoning sign-off of the building permits. All easements should be correctly shown on the record subdivision map, including who they are in favor of. Easement documents will have to be provided for review by the town attorney and filed on the land record along with the record re-subdivision map. Number 4, a final digital copy, single file, PDF, and 1 printed hard copy of the full re-subdivision and site plan drawing set shall be submitted to the Planning and Zoning Department prior to zoning enforcement officer review and sign off of building permits. 5, the dedicated open space shall conform with the Open Space Plan OSP-1 dated April 5th, 2022, and the record re-subdivision plan and map shall be amended to depict the open space as such. The dedication of land must be conveyed to the town of Guilford or an affiliate and accepted by the town prior to the approval of the building permit. Number 6, pursuant of General Statutes 8-25, site improvements associated with re-subdivision approval, including but not limited to site landscaping, shall be bonded prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy to ensure performance of up to 1 year after completion. this application is approved based on the finding that it conforms with the subdivision code of the town. This approval shall become effective 15 days after publication of legal notice of decision.
So before
Here, here a second. Sorry, Sean. 1 second.
I mean, before we do anything, there are
Okay.
two motions here, and I'm not sure they're in conflict, but there are many other sections to the second motion. There are.
The second motion is for the site plan application. This would, so we just
I'll propose a second, then we can do discussion.
Thank you, Philip.
Okay, thank you.
What did I do something wrong?
No, you did it perfectly right. Just, I seconded it,
So,
and then
Sean,
picked up.
let me just explain the first 4 items that were, and I'll also mention to all the commissioners that Chuck Andrews is here as well to assist us. The first 4 items are again standard items that Jamie is trying to implement to make sure that all applications in the future are followed through properly to our town staff and department. The 5th item is, if you remember I believe it was during the second public hearing, the applicant presented a strip of land to connect the original open space dedication to Hubbard Road. And so all this stipulation is trying to do is to formulate and make it official that plan is going to be the open space plan that we're accepting.
Okay.
And then the last one is us attempting to not have we've had some applications where we've had site improvements that were not completed. And so this is us attempting to kind of make sure that site improvements get completed
In a timely fashion.
in a timely fashion.
Might I ask what the extent of the bond is, and is that within our purview to ask?
Jamie, do you have an answer to that?
It's not included in this particular language. However, we have in the past had 10% of the cost of the landscaping. This is the performance bond to ensure that after a year of planting, it is taken root and is thriving.
Okay, so again, back to my question, how much of a bond do we take, or asking, demanding, I guess is a better term.
Well, Chuck can help me out with this, but I think we would get the proposed budget from the developer for the site improvements and then take 10% of that in a bond and hold that for a year. That's how I view that.
Yeah, and this is framed as prior to the, you shouldn't even be issuing a certificate of occupancy unless the landscaping is in there as a part of the plan. So this sort of actually gives the developer a little more flexibility in that respect. But yeah, it didn't go into the details. As you get an estimate of it'll actually depend on how much is actually in place, I think, at the time before you issue the CO, and then you figure it out then.
Okay, I'm just, we've been dealing with a few of these after the fact, and it's been.
Yes, we have. I mean, the property that we have had before this commission a number of times where homeowners nearby were complaining about drainage. And I can't remember the name of the address, but it's a development that has been, it was started in 2008 or 2009, and his development plan got extended by 12 years.
That's no.
Agreed, and so that's the reason we're leaning on Connecticut General Statute 8-26C with regards to the 5 years plus the potential additional 5 years, and that's going to be standard language going forward for subdivisions to help with that aspect. And then we'd also are trying to do the same thing with stipulation number 6.
Let's just let for the record, and going on Phil's comment, I would like to know what the amount of the bond is.
Again, it's gonna change for every project, right?
That's fine, but I'd like to get an update.
And also to Chuck's point, it's gonna change depending on how much, has been put in at the time that they go for CO.
Well, but what I wanna know is that there's fun, and that there is someone paying attention to this, and knows what the budget for landscaping is, and they know what the final bond is. That's what I want to know.
So my experience with this, Sean, is that they'll give an original budget that shows everything. And then at the time in which they are looking to get their CO or their first one, they'll get an appraisal of what's left. So, the town will agree with, they'll discuss it with the engineer, Jamie and whomever, and they'll decide what percentage of completion there is, and then that will be the bond.
Well, the CO is the linchpin. Like, you're not gonna give them the CO unless you can come to an agreement on the amounts, so.
And I don't want to hear whether it's, it could be this or could be that. Is it Jamie? Is it Janice? Is it the Board of Selectmen? Is it this commission? Who gets the
nod?
Jamie?
Yeah,
The
sure.
zoning enforcement officer.
Right. So the way that I have seen it done in the office is that at certain stages in the progression of the project, the Planning and Zoning Department would request as-builts, and those as-builts would compare the what was currently in place to the originally approved plan. And then if we find that, at the time of a request for a certificate of occupancy, we would do that analysis. If there was anything remaining, we would request an estimated budget of what remains, and then we would enter into a bond agreement with the Planning and Zoning. I don't know if the wording in that is commission or department, but that's how we would do it.
Jamie, I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Oh, it's okay.
I understand. We're new to the position, but, we're experiencing a lot of inflation right now, and I want to be sure, based on our past experiences as this commission, as is presently, occupied.
Right.
We've seen this happen before, and I just want to be sure that we're protecting the overall community and the community, the future community for this project.
Yeah, no, I thank you, Sean, for asking the questions. I think there's a slight nuance here between the project that you mentioned before and this one, which is that this bond language is to be decided at when the project is nearing completion. So it's not like we're setting out to say, okay, at this point in time, how much is your landscaping going to cost? And then 2 years later, when the project is complete and looking for C of O, we end up holding the bag because inflation has gone through the roof and no site improvements have been done. This is slightly different. So the project will continue as a C of O is requested. We would see what has been put in place. If there's anything outstanding, we would bond for that. So I hope that.
And also, I think, again, your concern's well-founded. I think a lot of us have similar concerns, Sean. But also part of this stipulation, again, is we're citing a general statute from 825 as well. So that's helping to regulate.
Our hands are tied a little bit. I get that, Scott. Thank you.
Jamie, just one question. Is there any stipulation as to the type of bond? Or is it cash? How's it going? It doesn't say. So
Chuck can help me with this, but typically we prefer the cash bond.
The other reason is
on the barrelhead.
Because surety bonds, can come and go.
Yeah, and you don't want a surety bond. The letters of credit or and cash bonds.
Last time I did a project in Guilford was 2007, and they took a Guilford Savings passbook with the money in it, and it was returned to me, I think, 2 years later. Literally. 7 cents.
Actually. All right, so,
Okay.
we have
We have
a
a motion and, yeah, Chuck, do you have anything else to add?
Yes, just one thing, and Jamie, I don't know, there was some, in the motion, it says it's approved based on a finding that it conforms with the subdivision code. Again, this is an 830G, so it doesn't have to. But in order for it to conform with the subdivision code, remember there's the open space requirement that I think the percentage of the land in the open space can't exceed, it's got to, you can't have more, what is it, wetlands, water courses, floodplain, and 25% of the property can't exceed the proportion it is on the property as a whole. In this case, it does, and it's designed to because you want to get access to the river. That's the whole purpose is. But you can waive that provision. So the recommendation is that in order to comply with the finding that it conforms with the subdivision regulation, that you waive the requirement in, I believe it's section 272-41B about the proportion of open space. Jamie, is that right, or is that part of this?
That's correct. Scott, we discussed that through a
We
three-quarter
did.
vote.
As far as Robert rules goes, I'm not sure if we can do a motion within a motion, but we might as well just touch on that. I have the language that we kind of discussed was that there would be a waiver of obligation that the land dedicated as open space shall not consist of a greater percentage of area classified as wetland, water course, 100-year floodplain, or slopes in excess of 25% parcel, than the parcel as a whole.
So I'll make a motion that we amend my reading to include Scott Edmonds' additional comments.
I would second that.
Yeah, so I guess we could add it as part of our original motion. Appreciate that. Okay. Any other additions, Chuck, that we missed?
No, it's a motion to waive that section and to approve the subdivision with that waiver. Yep.
It's been added to our redivision proposal here, yes. Any other discussion from anyone else related to this one? Or I'll go into a vote. We'll do a roll call vote. Where's my list? Bill Freeman?
Yes.
Ted Sands?
Yes.
Bill Johnson?
Yes.
Seth Cosgrove? Frank D'Andrea?
Yes.
Larry Zolo?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. So, all right, next I'd entertain a motion related to Hubbard Road LLC for the site plan application.
You want me to read it?
This
Which
week.
one?
The Hubbard Road LLC
Says it, site plan.
Hubbard Road LLC site plan voted for Planning and Zoning Commission to approve a re-subdivision application for Hubbard Road LLC, Hubbard Road, map 79, lot 48, zone I2, site plan approval for construction of a Connecticut General Statute 80-30G affordable housing project as shown on, quote, Memorial Estates, Connecticut General Statutes 80-30G affordable project, land of Lot 2, Connecticut Affordable Housing Initiative, LLC. Portion, I assume, of Hubbard Road,
Sorry.
parcel B, Guilford, Connecticut, unquote, prepared by LRC Group, 18 sheets dated October 16, 2021, revised 11/16/2021, and 2/11/2022, and 4/7/2022. This application approved with the following conditions pursuant to state statute. The site plan and associated site improvements, as well as soil erosion and sediment control approval, is valid for a period of 5 years following the decision until June 1st, 2027. On petition of the applicant, the commission may, at its discretion, grant extensions till they no more than an additional 5 years to complete all work that connected to the original approval. shall plan, the applicant shall file with the town clerk an original copy of the site plan approval to be provided by the planning and zoning department, and shall furnish written evidence to the planning and zoning department that the document has been so recorded prior to planning and zoning sign off for building permits. A final, I'm sorry, I didn't number these. Number 3, a final digital copy, single file PDF, and one printed hard copy of the full re-subdivision and site plans shall be submitted to the planning and zoning department prior to the zoning enforcement officer's review and sign off of building permits. Number 4, in the event that landscaping and other site improvements are not complete, a bond shall be provided to the planning and zoning department prior to planning and zoning sign off for a certificate of occupancy in an amount equal to the estimated cost of the remaining approved landscape plan. Not 10%. Number 5, the applicant shall file a written maintenance and operation manual for the geomatrix soil air system, describing the required maintenance inspection of the system with the local health department. Number 6, the dumpsters for trash and recycling are to be placed on concrete pads within enclosures. Number 7, cross easements for parking, wastewater management, and other shared operations and maintenance between the two lots shall be included on the final site plan. Easement documents will have to be provided for review by the town's attorney and filed on the land records along with the record re-subdivision map. Number 8, the applicant shall continue the sidewalks and therefore pedestrian access from each building's foundation to the project entrance off of Hubbard Road. In consultation with the town engineer, the applicant shall create lot frontage sidewalk provisions that are connected to the town's long-term planning for pedestrian access along Hubbard Road. Number 9, the entity responsible for administration, compliance, and affordability plan shall be the Guilford Housing Authority. In the event that the Guilford Housing Authority is unwilling to act as administrator, then Hubbard Road LLC may propose a third-party administrator whose qualifications and appointment shall be reviewed and approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission via a site plan modification. The applicant shall amend the, quote, affordability plan, unquote, to reflect this revision and submit the amended plan to the Planning and Zoning Department prior to Planning and Zoning sign-off for building permits. This application is approved based on finding that it is an affordable housing application under General Statute, Section 8-30G, and will provide needed affordable housing for the town of Guilford. As such, the development is in accordance with the town's affordable housing plan and plan of conservation and development. The approval shall become effective 15 days after the publication of the legal notice decision.
Here, a second.
Second.
Thank you, Bill. Discussion. Again, some of these items are standard ones that we're going to be seeing a lot of in the future. The item number 5, which was the maintenance and operation manual, that was requested by Inland Wetlands, and they're having us do it as a stipulation to formalize it and formalize that the health department is the department that will be overseeing that item. Let's see. I don't remember where the number 6 came from, Jamie.
But Scott, just be more.
Sure, Sean.
They're asking something to be formalized. What does that mean?
Well, so if you remember, Inland Wetlands, in their stipulations of approval, those Jamie, can you help me with the detail of it?
I think Chuck gave the best answer in our last
That's right.
meeting about how the inland wetlands and watercourses permit has a 3-year period, whereas the planning and zoning has a 10-year, but Chuck, you can add.
Sure. The reason for this, remember, wetlands is protecting wetlands and watercourses. Their concern was the amount of nitrogen in the effluent so it doesn't pollute the resource. One of the things the applicant offered to mitigate that was this sort of system as part of the septic waste disposal system. They would install that and it would remove the nitrogen content. What they were concerned with is that, hey, we want to make sure that it works and it continues to work and that it operates. And our permit expires after, there's a limit on it because the way wetlands works, it's permission theoretically to disturb wetlands, and once you're done, it goes away. You don't need your permit anymore. You're done. Zoning and subdivisions are different. You get your permit and you do all the work, then it's forever. So the conditions can last longer. So that was sort of their concern, was that, hey, we want someone to ensure that they do this, and it's really more of a health department that is, getting into the operations of the septic system. So that was I think the recommendation is you guys do it, but so we're putting in our condition that you file it with the health department, and so that you're basically committing them to maintain the system. That's the whole purpose of this.
So basically, Chuck, what you're saying, and what this stipulation indicates is that it's up to the health department.
Yeah, I think it's, they've got to do it. They've got to make an obligation to do it, and the health department would ultimately be the ones to do it. Make sure it's done.
If there's a failure of this system, what is the recourse of the health department?
I think the health department can shut them down. I think there's you can go to court.
You have 100 one-bedroom units, and you're going to shut them down?
In theory, it depends. I think that's probably unlikely, but they
That's no different of a question than asking.
I have seen a health department. I was involved in one case where by Guilford Lakes, where there was a septic system flowing down into the lake, and so what we did is we got the Attorney General to come out and do criminal state law going after them, because there are violations of state laws as well as local laws, and basically we found a way to pressurize them to get it fixed and mitigate it while it happens. So there's practical ways to do it. I mean, I don't, in theory, you can shut them down. There's probably criminal violations or whatever. But in any event, what entity should be the one to enforce that? You guys aren't so much into the, inspecting the septic systems or ensuring that's done. It's really, you want them the health department to require, some certification on a regular basis or something. Again, it's up to the health department that it's being maintained. So that was my understanding what the goal was, and that was the recommendation from wetlands that zoning do it because theirs expires, and we're saying okay. I think this came from them, but with the recommendation you provided to the health department, because those are the guys that you really want to do it.
Let me just offer one note here. So I have one of these systems on my property in Killingworth at a commercial building. We have from day one had to do this exact same thing. Geometric came in, they put in the soil air system. They monitor it monthly. I pay for it monthly. I hold my records from EAL, Eastern Analytical Labs, who sends me the water testing, and I hold it for when the health department asks for it. And they do periodically ask for it, and I hold the records and give it to them. It's been 18 years. Every month we do it. Every month I pay for it.
So you're responsible. I would just have one question for Jamie, and maybe this is just a question of research. How many other geometric systems are in Guilford, and how often do they report to the health department about their results?
I do not know that answer. I'd have to ask
Okay.
your director of health.
Maybe an unfair question, but I think it's a valid one, given that if this is new to us, someone like a responsible owner like this over?
I get it monthly. I only provide it when the health department asks for it. In this district,
Okay.
they were, in the beginning, they were getting it more frequently. I can't tell you the last time they asked for it, but we do have them, if they do. And I think that's what has to happen. The health department's gonna have to request it quarterly, biannually.
Yeah, right. But there has to be, I mean, we've dealt with, water maintenance systems issues for years. And we put it into the reg, we put it into, into motions, and then there's no follow-up. So, that's my point.
I think we all agree, and that's why we're trying to make this as memorialized as we can, by pointing out who's responsible. Bill?
I have a question.
Sure.
Can somebody explain to me what the language in the second part of 8 actually means? I'm not quite sure what it means. The applicant shall create lot frontage sidewalk provisions that are connected to the town's long-term planning for pedestrian access along covered road. I'm sure it means something. I just have not quite been able to wrap my head around.
Yep. Jamie, you want to take the phone?
Yeah, thank you, Scott and Bill. I can fill in the blanks on that one. At our second public hearing, and then after our deliberations, we had discussed the idea that we would like for the town to work with the developer to create a, extension of sidewalk and sidewalk provisions. What I mean by that is just sort of perhaps the elements at the frontage of Hubbard Road, this particular development, that would connect in a future to future sidewalks, which will be along the north end of Hubbard Road as proposed by the town. So since our public hearing, the town engineer has reached out to the developer. They have been in communication. There is a proposal at foot. It's not something that I want to enter into the public record right now because the public hearing is ended. However, I can say that the wheels are in motion to arrive at something that both parties agree to.
Perfect. Thank you.
So hate to be brutal about this, so once we approve it, if they say, we don't agree to it,
Then they're not in compliance with the condition, I would argue.
Right?
Phil, there's many levers after that you can manipulate that. I don't see that as being something that's likely to happen, given the level of conversation here.
Yeah, they can't do like the stipulation is asking them to do something. It's not being specific because it's up to the town engineer and them to formalize a plan. And then number 9, I think, is pretty self-explanatory in terms of right now the affordability plan calls out Guilford Housing Authority as being the one to administer and maintain compliance. And so we're just trying to make sure that in the event that that does not happen with that entity, that they come back and just demonstrate who they're planning on using, that they're certified and have a track record of doing that business, that same operations. So that's kind of where that item came from. Any other questions or comments related to the stipulations? Any other general discussion or deliberation? I think the town staff and Chuck for a lot of the back and forth that's happened on this one. I think it was important. Again, it's really important to Guilford that we get affordable housing. So happy in that respect that this is going through and potentially going through. And I just appreciate everyone's efforts in getting a good agreement in place. So thank you.
And I appreciate the applicant's efforts to work through things.
Well,
Phil?
Since we're making comments, I think there are a lot of things that my mind, having a 4-story building with no centralized waste disposal is an extreme mistake. And asking someone to walk down or take an elevator down to walk 250 feet across a parking lot to dispose of their garbage is crazy. I mean, I think there are a lot of potential design issues to have 51 bedroom units as opposed to a diversity of housing stock. I know we can't say no to it on a lot of levels, but I'm going to voice my criticism that I think this could have a lot better design, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think, Phil, a lot of people agree with you too. That's a big reason why Jamie spent so much time on the affordable housing plan and that what's going to get presented to the state. And that's the whole reason for that regulation in the state that's been going through. So to help towns like Guilford to make sure that, get as much affordable housing as we possibly can, but try to get it in the way that's as close to conforming with our zoning regulations as possible. So I think people have heard your opinion as well, for sure. Any other items to discuss?
Only that I agree with Phil.
Yep. All right. Hearing no other discussion, I'll entertain a roll call vote. Bill Freeman.
Yes.
Ted Sands.
Yes.
Philip Johnson.
Yes.
Sean Cosgrove.
Yes.
Andrea.
Aye.
And I will also vote yes.
Did Larry vote?
No,
I believe
I vote yes.
I thought I heard you. I'm sorry, Larry. Motion carries. On to next item on the agenda, which
I'd just like to say, it's Attorney Amy Bloom here, I'd like to say thank you to the commission, and thank you to Jamie and to Chuck, and you have a good plan in front of you, and we appreciate all the time that you took on this matter.
thanks, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
All right, pending applications, Mirza Akhtar, 72 Stepstone Hill Road, map 91, lot 30C4, zone R5, special permit for one bedroom, 772 square foot after the fact accessory apartment, public hearing to be set for June 15, 2021. Entertain a motion in that respect.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Record that Larry wasn't on camera, but I did hear an aye from Larry.
Yes.
That looks just like him.
It looks better than, by the way.
Next item on the agenda is South Lane Bistro Rancheros LLC, 63 Whitfield Street, map 39, lot 94, zone C1, site plan revision for seasonal dining area to create a pergola and for some improvements to the house kitchen and support area. Is there someone from South Lane Bistro to represent South Lane Bistro? Mr. Thompson.
Good evening. Will Thompson, I'm an architect, for the record, 28 South Fair Street. I'm here to review an application where basically we're trying to make some seasonal dining that was used during the pandemic a little more permanent by creating a pergola structure. It would be seasonal in nature, and with this, basically it would allow kind of that outdoor liveliness to continue. In addition, we're looking at taking a little bit of back of house, basically refrigeration and storage from what used to be part of the toy store. And that's more or less the extent of the application. If you want me to walk through the plans, I'm happy to.
Yes, if you wouldn't mind are you set up to share your screen, or do we need Jamie to bring it up?
I can if you want to, can I just take this, Jamie?
Yep, you can.
See if I can find the right spot. Can you all see my?
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
So on this plan, over on this right side is Whitfield Street, with some of the adjacent parking. This is the private right-of-way. That's the former toy store there. The existing restaurant, South Lane, is right here, as well as that enclosed porch. The area we're talking about putting a pergola is right here. It's between what used to be Centro's, about to be a new restaurant, and the Thai restaurant here. This is a blow-up of it. In reality, during pandemic, they had almost this number of tables out here. We're just trying to make it a little more, have a little more amenity and probably have a fire pit feature as well. I have walked through this with the fire marshal, the health department, as well as the building official, and they're supportive of it. These are a few views. So if we were walking from the town parking lot on the west side, down the alley towards the green, that would be the entrance to South Lane now. As you go a little further up, you can start to see the pergola. That's what used to be Centro's. This is the side of where the toy store used to be. If we were to walk a little further and look to the south, this is the pergola area. If we were coming from the green, that would be this view here with the pergola on your left. These are elevations, shows the scale of it relative to the roof lines. There's already an existing fence between the two buildings on the south edge. This is a blow-up of what has been the use during the pandemic, showing the existing condition. This is a little bit of detail on the pergola. The plan is to be in either a cedar or another wood that's suitable for outdoor. We're leaving it a little bit flexible because of procurement these days. This proposal has been approved by Historic District Commission, so any minor adjustments we would review with their subcommittee.
Well, quick question.
Yes.
So is the pergola going to be, it looks like it's covered in some capacity?
We're like a bamboo.
So I guess my concern is you referenced an outdoor fire pit.
Yeah, so all this material would receive a intumescent coating. It's what we did out on the porch.
Okay.
Which renders the material to a grade A, Class A fire resistance.
Thanks, sorry,
Yeah.
in my mind I worried about a fire pit.
So I think it's an excellent question, Bill. And in addition to that, typically these fire pit features, the clearances actually are quite small, but because of the use, an assembly use, I insisted on it being Class A material.
Thank you, sorry.
And you're probably putting the bamboo up there for a little shade for sunny days and things like that.
Precisely. Now, you should be aware of a couple things. We discussed with the Historic District that we may, at a later date, request a retractable, let's say you get a sudden storm comes through and you want to put a rain cover.
Plastic or something.
Retractable units for that. We've not at this point planning that, and we're not planning to enclose this. This is not going to be, this is going to be quite seasonal in nature. The other is it would have some like Edison style string lights and some minor downlighting. And the other thing that would occur is it would have provision for some infrared heaters in the rafter zone too.
Will, this is Sean Cosgrove.
Yep.
So I had to step out for biological reasons. So, is the fire pit, it's gonna be gas?
Yes.
Okay, which is the same, I would say, they already have a gas.
We have one right here on the existing.
That's right, that's right.
So related to that, Will, I had a question. Is that piped like underground with a stub, or is it
It would be.
a tank?
No, it would be natural gas. It would be fed from the building. And
So you're gonna be calling out all the proper, stops or shut-offs, valves.
oh, absolutely, it would be fully specified. And I'm bringing up every potential accessory. It's highly likely that all the accessories will not happen right away.
Right.
I don't want anyone to feel that we haven't discussed them.
Typically, I see when they do fire pits that they're on some sort of a timer. Is that what you would be anticipating?
It would, typically, it would be only operated by staff.
Okay.
Just the way they do it now. So no, and it would only be operated when they're basically tending to that station.
They currently have one in that back room, don't they?
Yes, they have it. Go back to that plan. There's one right here on the porch.
Right.
That rectangle. So this is existing restaurant here, where here's the bar, tables, that enclosed porch, and it has a fire pit right here.
Yeah.
And then part of your application was speaking to renovations to the kitchen.
So all we're talking about is, you see this rear area right here? It's to add some refrigeration. Because right now they go across the parking lot for some of their reach-ins.
And you said some of that space is gonna come out of the original toy store.
Yeah, so right now, this space right now was where the toy store had their stock room.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if I go back here, I'll go back a page. That's all the toy store, and there was like a connection right here.
Well, how many feet are being added?
Basically, what do we have here? We have
20, it looks like.
up to 20. This is only about a 300 square foot area, and if this is going towards parking, we do have significant parking within 200 feet. Obviously, it's shared among these many restaurants and businesses, but the use is very similar to the way it was done during the pandemic. So, and in fact, even the health department had no comment on adjustment to the system.
And there's a lot of parking in the back too, right?
And
Yes.
Will,
That's
they're
open.
not, they're not expanding their kitchen, are they?
No. All that they're expanding is the back of house, like refrigeration in this area. This room is almost bigger than they need. It's just what's available.
So,
Yeah.
this isn't even attached in any capacity to the current building, right?
This here.
It's between Anutai and, between the Thai restaurant and what was.
Which is
This is
to be the
a
new.
walkway, right?
Well, actually, right now there's a fence here, Phil, but it is just it's an already hardscaped area. It was.
Right, it was brick and with tables.
It's brick and concrete.
Right.
So are all the buildings over there owned by one individual? Is that how that
Yes.
is that possible?
Yes, this is it's all owned by Whitfield and Water Shops LLC, and this space is part of the lease space.
I think if I'm correct, that LLC owns everything from Booze over to Water Street and across Whitfield Street to.
Yes, they're
The guy's name is Todd something. Todd is his.
So, so this is strictly for South Lane Bistro. It's not going to be for the new steakhouse. It's not going to be for the Thai restaurant. It's strictly.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And I believe, and I believe, for example, the steakhouse, there might be provisions that they're working on to do with part of that alley, but I'm not privy to that information.
And is there gonna be any, what is the lighting and then the amplified music or anything like that, or no plans for that?
No plans for that. There will be very simple, like string lights under the pergola, and probably a couple downlights, but it's gonna be quite localized. It's not something we're gonna have spill over. In fact, if I go to the rendering, I threw a little bit of light in it to sort of, it would be subtle. It's not gonna be high because it's dining. You don't want glaring light, Did that answer your question, Frank? I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Sure.
So you've already said the material they're putting down. So this rendering, is the ground material?
Most of the ground material now is brick paver, and that's to remain. There's a small area, and forgive me because I drew this so long ago, I may be remembering correctly. I want to say there's a small area here that might even be concrete from before.
Okay.
It is all hard right now. Like, there's no change in impervious area for any of this.
Okay. All right. I just going back to, I think, point that Phil made, I think we're, given the density of this area and the addition of a fire pit, I think that, and if this has been, reviewed by,
By the fire marshal.
I'm comfortable, but I just think, given the density, we just want to be sure that it's.
Well, I think my concern is like you definitely eliminate a point of egress if there was a problem.
Well, there's a gate in that fence, though.
Yeah, but I mean, so before, if it was completely open and we've got restaurants on three sides of it, right?
Yeah, I did a code study, and the egress works well.
Just throwing it out. I mean,
I think those are very important points, and in fact, it's part of why I've maintained the alley's width and been careful about, like, if anything, this drawing it looks bigger because I'm showing you the overhang line.
Right.
The actual, it has appropriate separation from the buildings for, for similar reasons, for life safety reasons.
And Will, are the buildings, are they sprinkler? Do they have sprinklers?
No, but they're appropriately sized, and they have appropriate yard sizing for what they are. I mean, I did my main review of this one, which is the one that South Lane occupies, but I looked at the separation of this accessory structure relative to these. And the other thing we're doing, because this is a multi-use building, the one we're in, this little bit of back of house kitchen, I'm actually creating a 2-hour separation between it and the apartments above and the mercantile in front.
What kind of separation?
A 2-hour rating.
The fire rating for sheetrock.
Fire rating. Oh, okay.
It would be called a fire barrier.
Okay.
That's actually, I mean, I typically wouldn't show it for zoning, but it's the last sheet. It shows what those systems.
Okay. And that's what you would show the fire marshal and all that stuff.
We've already reviewed it, in the preliminary review.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry to run you through the ringer. It's just one of those things, like, after the fact, if something went wrong, and, if people were questioning who approved this, and what question did
It's
they
a complicated site. There's a lot going on. So, it's also, what's nice is it's become quite vibrant.
Great.
You look at the way the downtown restaurant scene is really, it's quite a draw, and it's typically, I mean, Jamie could probably speak much more intelligently about this than me, but as a planning device, it's a great thing to have multiple restaurants in one area.
I don't think there's one member of this commission that would not want to see this succeed. We just want to be, as Phil said, the I's and cross the T's. That's all.
I often joke, safety's no accident. So.
I know you said this before, Will, but what is the actual space from where that patio or that fire pit is ending in the 63 Whitfield? What is that? 10 feet?
Yeah, I in the program I'm in right now, I can't scale easily, but here's a scale. Bear with me. And I think I want to say from the post to there, it's more like probably 12, 13. See this post? It's probably all 10 at the overhang.
Okay.
It might even be more.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
If we don't have any other questions from commissioners, I'd entertain a motion on this item.
I'll second whatever.
Do we have a motion? I don't know about it.
Whatever.
No, I mean, I'm all in favor of it. I just don't
Coughing fit. There is a motion that is part of the package that was emailed to us.
An indiscriminate motion.
All right, let me see if I can.
If I could read them all, I would read them all, but I can't. So
So,
I did not print that
that
one out.
the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a site plan revision for a seasonal dining area, pergola, and other site improvements to the house, kitchen, and support areas at 63 Whitfield Street, map 39, lot 94, zone C-1, as shown on, quote, South Lane Bistro, Rancheros LLC, 63 Whitfield Street, Guilford, Connecticut, end quote, prepared by William Thompson, AIA and Associates LLC, dated March 21st, 2022, 12 sheets. This application approved with the following conditions. Here we go, Jamie. 1. Pursuant to state statute, this site plan and associated site improvements are valid for a period of 5 years, following the date of decision until June 1st, 2027, upon petition of the applicant. The Commission may, at its discretion, grant extensions totaling no more than an additional 5 years to complete all work connected to the original approval. 2. The applicant shall file with the town clerk an original copy of the site plan approval to be provided by the Planning and Zoning Department, and shall furnish a written evidence to the Planning and Zoning Department that the document has been so recorded prior to the Planning and Zoning sign-off for building permits. This application is approved based on the finding that it conforms with the zoning code. This approval shall become effective 15 days after publication of the legal notice of decision.
Second.
any discussion further?
Will, thank you very much for your clear and detailed presentation of this. It's like very helpful.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Alright, and it's Phil. Alright, roll call vote, we'll do Bill Freeman,
Yes.
Ted Sands,
Yes.
Philip Johnson,
Yes.
Sean Cosgrove. Broke up there, Sean, sorry.
Aye.
Thank you. Frank DeAndrea,
Affirmative.
Zolo. You're on mute, but that looked like affirmative to me.
Yes.
Thank you, and I will vote yes as well. Okay, great. And then the last of the pending applications. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Thompson.
Good night.
Mr. Chair,
Strawberry Hill.
if I could, we have 1
Sure.
minute left on the videotape, so if we could just
Perfect.
pause at this moment.
Becoming a running theme as my chairmanship here.
Okay.
Scotland Road, right off of 79.
No, so Scotland Road, if you're going down Route 1, you know where the old gas station was?
Exactly.
Right past Elizabeth's. Remember Elizabeth's Cafe?
We're resuming with the
So if you
video.
go past the center of town, maybe a quarter mile past the center of town, you could take a left, and it would go up to an old train bridge that would go, that's Scotland.
Goes up to New Road.
There's a baseball field that's near there.
Okay. So you're heading east, you're past the library, you're way past.
Correct.
Correct.
So
It's the first left after the library.
It's in close proximity to the downtown, but it's in a fairly tight neighborhood. Fairly.
Okay.
Unless you look at the baseball field.
Okay.
Yeah, unless you look at which I did play in the Little League Championship game in.
Are we recording?
I have been there.
Okay. It looks like we have everybody back, so are we recording now?
Yes.
With
We
people?
have been recording the whole time, I believe.
Oh, we've been recording on Zoom the whole time. No business related to Guilford planning.
To Guilford.
Just taking up bandwidth.
Welcome back to the recording. All right, so our last pending application was Strawberry Hill Preserve, 2222 and 2240 Boston Post Road, map 78, lots 10 and 11, zone MU/C2. Site plan for lot line modification and the construction of a 48-unit multifamily residential development that is just to receive. That's going through town staff review. New applications, we have one from David Talbot, 158 Wild Rose Avenue, map 70, lot 2, zone R6, special permit for a 520 square foot accessory apartment. Receive and set public hearing for June 15, 2022. And also while we're at it, we will do Jake's Cherry Street, LLC, 397 Church Street, map 74, lot 9, zone I1. Site plan and special permit for a dental/medical office that will be received and set public hearing for July 6, 2022. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
It's everyone except for Ted. Motion passes.
Aye.
Thank you, Ted. Unanimous. All right, other commission business, do we have any correspondence, Jamie?
No, we do not.
All right, approval of the minutes. Was anyone able to review the minutes?
I found them substantially correct.
Great.
I concur.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I believe I heard Ted as well.
And Jamie, I believe, I just got a text from Jason Markey. I think he's done with his meeting. I think he wanted to come in.
Yep,
There
he
he is.
just jumped on it. There he is.
I'd like to make a motion to move to executive session.
Jamie, we don't have any other business for our regular meeting?
No, we do not.
All right. Do I hear a second to Phil's motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that's to discuss pending litigation, the demand zoning appeal. Is that correct?
It's recording on.
Hold on, before we do that, I'd like to make a motion to seat Jason and say goodnight to Bill.
Oh, Bill's gone.
And invite Jamie and myself in there too.
Is the recording on?
Hold on, we also need to
Just a minute.
potentially boot, we need to potentially boot a couple of people that are not members of the Planning and
Yes.
Zoning Commission.
Correct. Yes.
So I
we're
will
doing
do
it.
that now.
Proper items.
Newton, I will be removing you from the meeting. Thank you for attending. Okay. And Mr. Brendan Crowley, I will be removing you from the meeting. Thank you for attending.
And I think, Chuck, do we need Lisa to be attending this as well? Or,
No, she doesn't have to attend.
Okay, and Jamie, I believe we should stop recording.
Yes, we should stop both the Zoom and the videography.
That's it?
Yep, that's it. Thank you, Peter.
Chuck, let me compliment you on your
Thanks, Peter.
bandwidth here.